to the Prattle Potion podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Leia.
And shoo Hilda.
And shoo. Since when?
I don't know. I just, as soon as we pressed record, I was like, shoo.
Usually I start talking, so I think it was kind of, I was waiting for you to start, so I think maybe it was kind of like you were like, I don't know what to say, so I'll just say shoo.
My brain was like,
it.
You need to do this.
Gold.
You need to stand out. You need to do this great. Good job.
It was gorgeous. I loved it. It was a perfect start to this week's episode. So how are you doing today, Beth?
I am doing pretty much.
Cool.
I am in the end of my 2 courses that I've been taking this spring.
Yeah.
And I just, this Sunday, in one sitting actually, finished my final assignment.
Yes.
And sent that in for the first course. So that was really nice. That's all over and done with.
Hell yeah.
I think I don't really trust that teacher. She called it the last assignment. It sounds so much more dramatic in English.
Is this the same teacher that was like, yeah, it's gonna be like only 2 questions about this thing on the test, and there was like 3 pages?
Yep.
Oh, that's the one.
We had a test about evolution, and she was like, okay, since I was sick last time, we were supposed to have a test about chemistry. I'm just gonna implement like 2-3 questions about that in the evolution test. Focus on the evolution, it's fine. And then she ended up with having 50% of the test being about chemistry and 50% being about evolution.
Yeah.
So that sucks. And yes, that's the same teacher. She calls it the last assignment, but then I saw also that she kept posting like new things, not new assignments, but like new things for us to read and stuff for this week. So it's a little bit like
that's sus.
That's a little bit sus.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna take her word for it and take it as the last assignment, because this week it's all about math. Since I have my last test on Monday, so when this episode is released, I have a test in like 2 days from that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a little bit stressed out.
Yeah.
To say the least, because the test is like from 9 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's gonna be like a Swedish national test. I'm not sure what that would be equivalent to in English speaking.
It might be like SATs or something.
Yes,
right?
Actually, yeah. I think it might be SATs.
Because it's like a worldwide, like, no, not worldwide, national-wide test.
Yeah.
That's kind of like all the students are held to the same level, sort of.
Yeah, I think it might be something like that. And the nice thing is that you can only get, like you can clear it or you don't clear it. So it's like not any like
it's
ABCs. It's
either
E
accepted or
F.
not accepted. Yeah.
So that's kind of nice, but it is a lot of things that I need to go through, and we'll see about it. I'm not having high hopes.
I'm sure you'll do great.
But I'm just gonna do it, and we'll see, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'm
sure it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I'm a little bit in that headspace.
But I think it's good that you made the decision to wait a little bit with the streaming and stuff this week, because you have canceled your streams this week and stuff to really focus on studying, and I think that's really good to really get that done with, to not stress yourself out more than you have to, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I haven't really taken any long breaks in a good I think I just did it once when I was like going to our summer place for a weekend, but otherwise I haven't really taken any days off.
Yeah.
So far. So this weekend is needed. It's necessary.
For sure.
For me.
For sure.
Yeah. How are you doing?
And that's good. I'm doing pretty good. I'm also nearing the end of this term, and which feels nice. I don't I don't have, my uni work is not really structured in the way where we have tests and exams, which is really nice because that just doesn't work for me really.
That's so nice.
We have more essay, hand-ins, and project work because that's really what my uni is about. Like a lot of the things is about learning to do proper project work and stuff. So I have a project right now that I'm working on. I handed in the essay that was giving me so much anxiety. Still haven't heard back, so I hope it's okay, but we'll have to wait and see. And after that, I have like a 1,000-word reflection to write about the project work as a last assignment. So it's really nice. It's not that bad.
That was really kind.
Yes. So it feels really good, and I feel less stressed, and I'm really, my mood and my well-being is picking up quite a bit.
Nice.
So I can't wait for summer break because I'm so excited to really, I have so much planned for Twitch and things related to it. So I really just want summer break to start so I can just
exciting.
Leave it.
I can't wait for these 2 courses to end so I can start my summer course because I'm really looking forward to it. It sounds really exciting.
Because that's a uni course too.
It is.
It will be a uni course for you, and you'll it won't be like math or anything. It's going to be more fun.
Yeah, exactly. Something I'm actually a little bit more interested in.
Yeah.
It's about history and medicine and power.
Power. Yes.
So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting.
It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool. I had an interesting experience today as well. They're working on the house's facade. And they've been fixing on one side for a while, but this morning we woke up with having a man outside of our window, and that was really random since we live on the 2nd floor and that has never happened before, so that was interesting.
Oh my god, waking up with a man outside your window.
Yeah, it was very, very interesting. Also, last week's episode we talked about some games and stuff, and after we talked about that, Hilda joined in with being excited about the game Röki, and we actually played that on my stream. So if you guys want to check it out, my YouTube channel will be linked down below because I'll be uploading shit to it and sharing the Let's Play if you guys want to take part in it, because that was a really good game.
It was so good. Like, it was really good. And I still, because we were so fresh out of Resident Evil 8 Village from that as well, so we kind of, there were so many things we could compare them to because they were kind of similar in many ways. We were all like, oh my god, Rörka is Mother Miranda all the time. Like, I love that. But no, so it was a really good game, so that's a high recommendation if you guys listened to last week's episode and you were on the verge of what game you might want to try out. Röki is a big recommendation from us both, I think. Very much so, because it was such a nice puzzle game. It was still calm, but it was more exciting than I thought it would be, which was kind of a nice surprise.
Yeah, for sure.
It was nice. It was not stressful in any way.
No, never. No. And that was really nice, but it was still intense, but it wasn't stressful. But I never felt stressed, but I felt like excited.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Great start.
But so this week, there's a lot of things to go through. It's your episode, and this week and next week will be kind of a first or a unique way for us to do the podcast. But before we hop into it, I feel like we might want to leave it there to hop into the episode. Yeah. But before that, what's your Prattle Potion of today, babe?
Today I have coffee.
You have coffee.
Because I need it.
That makes sense.
Yes. I've been drinking so much coffee. Like, I drink a lot of coffee otherwise, but a lot more.
Because of studying.
Double that.
Double it. Triple it. We were gonna drink coffee this morning, but it turns out we were out of coffee. So we had matcha instead, which is nice.
hate that.
And I finished it, so that was supposed to be my Prattle Potion, but I actually finished it because it was delicious.
Oh, well.
And so I actually only have water, which is still good. Remember to hydrate, my friends.
Water is great, but I do hate the feeling when you wake up and you're going to turn on the coffee machine and there's no coffee. At that point, I put on my jacket and my shoes and I go down to the store and I buy more coffee.
I think we were kind of, we could have done that, but we were also like, we have matcha and we like to,
substitutes,
we like to jump between them to just kind of keep variety up or whatever.
Yeah.
And it felt like the perfect opportunity or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, another thing I just wanted to mention, speaking of, is that they still haven't fixed our sink.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. You've been out that for like a week?
Almost soon. But so I didn't mention this on the pod. No, I couldn't have.
No, I don't think you did.
So we've had some difficulties with our sink in the kitchen for a while. And then on Friday, it started being more like it got worse. And my mother-in-law, she came here and she brought some like chemicals and whatever, and we tried that, didn't work. And then it just went from like slow to complete stop. And we managed to loosen the pipes and try and like rinse it out and stuff. Didn't work. We tried a whole bunch of shit and didn't work. So I emailed the super and didn't get a response because it was after office hours. And I was like, okay, maybe they'll respond on Monday. No response. So I actually called and left a message, and I was like, hey, I've already emailed about this, but it's kind of like in a rush because we can't do the dishes. And they haven't gotten back to me today either yet. It's not that late, but I mean their office hours are only like 3 more hours. And I'm feeling a little bit annoyed about that because it's like overflowing with dishes and we can't really cook properly, and it's really, really annoying. So if there's a pause or anything during this episode, it's probably because they called me. And I have to take that.
Understandable. I can't believe you guys can't do the dishes. Like
it looks like shit in the kitchen, and we were finally like really being good about keeping it clean in the kitchen too. And now it's just like chaotic.
What's the world's way of you saying no? Chaos kitchen.
We usually try to keep it to just eating like pizza or something once a week or like during the weekends.
Yeah.
But we had like I think we bought from Thursday to Sunday, we bought pizza and stuff like 2-3 times because we were like, we can't cook in here, and it's so difficult to go to the sink in the bathroom and do the dishes because it's so tiny. So it's been like a whole mess, so I'm kind of done with that now too. I just wanted to mention that in case there's a pause sometime during the episode. But so like I mentioned, this episode is going to be
it's a special
jam-packed.
one. Yeah.
Yes, and I think let us know what's going to happen now.
So I think from the last like 2 episodes, I have been quite nonstop talking about Resident Evil in some kind of way. I've been quite intensely like into the lore and been reading up on things. And especially like when we finished Resident Evil 8, I was like, I need to know more. I need to know more. And I think Leia was pretty much the same. We really love the storytelling and stuff like that in the game. And I kind of wanted to have an episode about Resident Evil. So I started being like, okay, I'm just going to start off with telling people a little bit that doesn't know about Resident Evil, like what is it, how did everything start, like story wise, who are some important people that we should know and stuff. But I soon came to a realization that there is a lot of information about Resident Evil. There's so much lore that I cannot keep this to be a one episode. We need 2. So this is actually going to be our first 2-parter. So this episode, the episode that is coming out next week, is going to be a continuation from this episode. Pretty much. And this 2-parter is going to be focusing mostly on the backstory of Resident Evil that we're going to talk about today. And also the story about Resident Evil 7 and 8, since those are the newest games that are out there. And since also the games are story-wise released in like modern time, so Resident Evil 7 is released in 2017. Story-wise, everything happened in 2017. And stuff like that. It feels most more modern, and it's the most popular as well to talk about those 2 games right now. So it's gonna be a lot of information. I have tried to make it very, very much like I've tried to scale it all down to a very basic level. So I've taken a lot of names.
Try to keep it condensed.
Yes, I've taken out names that we don't need to know to understand 7 and 8. So I've taken out some details that has nothing to do with those 2 games, but I have a feeling that I will probably want to make more Resident Evil episodes, but maybe that has to do with some of the other games. And
like fill in the gaps a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And if I do that...
So this is kind of like a Resident Evil 101 background lore stuff. Okay.
Nice. But like especially made for us to understand 7 and 8 more. So if I ever do like an episode about Resident Evil 4 or 6, we will have to fill in a few gaps in the story, a few more new names, because there are a lot of characters, a lot of names. But I'm trying to keep it really condensed.
Perfect.
For this one. And I'm going to read a little bit, and then we're going to stop. We're going to melt it all down and try to discuss it a little bit, because there is a lot of information, and I don't want it to be like me just blabbering on about names and operations and organizations and dates and stuff like that.
Makes sense.
So we're gonna take a few pauses and discuss a little bit, and then continue on and stuff like that. So I hope that feels good with you.
It feels really good. I think we should get going.
I'm gonna just take a sip of my coffee.
Oh shit, we're getting ready.
I need the energy.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna start with a recap of the Resident Evil backstory, and like I said, it's very shortened. If there are other Resident Evil fans out there, don't come for me. I've been really shortening it down. So I know that I'm missing out a lot, but also it's not really needed for us to understand 7 and 8.
It's supposed to be the core story and not every detail.
So if you don't know about Resident Evil, I'm gonna start with talking about the story. So we're gonna talk about how story-wise everything started within the franchise, pretty much. So Edward Ashford, James Marcus, and Oswald E. Spencer, these virologists co-funded a medical company called Umbrella Pharmaceuticals in the late 1960s. The public face of this pharmaceutical company was that of an ordinary medicines manufacturer. The real reason for this company, that was hidden away from the public, was to use the research to develop biological weapons. These virologists had cultivated a virus from a rare West African flower called Stairway to the Sun, and eventually co-funded the company Umbrella Pharmaceuticals to hide the real intent of research. This flower, Stairway to the Sun, was a part of the rich folklore of a West African tribe, and this tribe described the flower as a flower which could imbue unto them great powers. The 3 virologists cultivated a mutagenic virus from this flower, which is later known as Progenitor. Progenitor is an immensely ancient family of RNA viruses, suspected of being hundreds of millions if not even billions years old. It is known to create extreme mutations and seems to have both aided and hindered the evolution of the world. This virus is special in the way that it can revive dead organisms and their cells, and not just in humans. It can mutate humans, animals, plants, fungals, and bacterials. This virus came to be the start of the umbrella viruses that roam the universe of the Resident Evil franchise today. So, pause.
Yeah.
Very shortened. This is the first encounter that they had with the virus, pretty much.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
No, I think
First of all,
it's pretty solid. 3 dudes looking to make this flower into a regeneration virus sort of thing, and they're messing with bioweapons, and everything will go wrong in the end and all that stuff.
As it usually does. Yeah. So I also want to explain a few words here, because I mentioned RNA viruses, which is pretty much mutaceous viruses. So viruses that are known to mutate.
Okay.
So when I mentioned the progenitor, it is a family of different kinds of these mutation viruses, pretty much. And those are the ones that are very, very old.
And you said what was his name, Richard?
The 3 names.
No, the RNA, and what was the umbrella term? The
Progenitor.
Progenitor. Okay, thank you.
Richard.
Yeah.
Let's call him Richard.
What?
I thought you said Richard.
No. No. I thought it was something progenitor.
Oh, I thought when you said that, I thought, is it like Richard? It's like, no.
Call him Richard. I was like, what are you talking about, ma'am?
They're looking at this very mutaceous flower, and they're like,
Richard.
Let's call him Richard. And I also want to mention a little bit about this West African tribe. They're called Dipaya. I was, for a long period, like, looking up if this tribe actually exists. I am 90% sure it does not.
Okay.
But I might be wrong. But I didn't find anything that could conclude that they are actually existing.
Okay.
But they used this flower, when some of them came in contact with this flower, Stairway to the Sun, which is also a very interesting name for a flower. Some of them mutated superhuman powers. They grew incredibly old. They kind of never died. Some became extremely intelligent, stuff like that. But they still regained like their sense, their brain, their mind, their thinking, and stuff like that. So it wasn't really like the viruses that we know Resident Evil for today.
They just saw more positive effects, really.
Yeah, exactly. And it didn't happen that often either. It kind of just... There was like a blessing for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, these 3 men, they founded the umbrella, and they took this virus and concentrated it very hardly, like very much, so that they could continue the research and create bioweapons pretty much under the false belief that they made medicines.
Okay, yeah.
So this was all in the 1960s. So a few years later, in 1978, a year after 2 certain virologist students named William Birkin and Albert Wesker joined the research, Dr. Marcus, so one of the co-founder, had a major breakthrough. By combining progenitor with leech DNA, he was able to create the T virus, a series of mutated progenitor strains, which is capable of turning those infected into zombies.
Yeah.
William Birkin soon started his own research on a mutated version of the virus called the G virus, and began his testing as soon as the Umbrella Laboratory, or NEST as we call it, was done building underneath the infamous Raccoon City in the early 1990s.
What, Nest?
It's called Nest. The like the umbrella laboratory that is beneath the city of Raccoon City.
Okay, so the laboratory is called Nest.
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yep.
Yes. The Umbrella Corporation not only funded major parts of the city's infrastructure, the city's police chief began receiving bribes from them in exchange for his silence over Umbrella's illicit operations beneath the city. So, what we started talking about there with William Birkin, Albert Wesker, these two came to be the first researchers that stole information, pretty much, from Umbrella and decided to go their own way.
Okay.
Because quite soon after they had created the T-virus, they kept researching it for a bit, but the world kind of got to know a little bit about it, so a lot of their laboratories were shut down.
Okay.
And the T-virus temporarily got stalled. And that is when Birkin took it to himself and sold it on and decided to create his own version, a stronger, more potent version of it.
Okay.
Which is the G virus. And when Umbrella built this, they had like this big place in the middle of Raccoon City, which is an infamous Resident Evil city. Where both the movies, the games, everything, it starts there pretty much.
Raccoon City.
Raccoon City. Don't
Such
the
a
names.
stupid name.
Yeah, it is. But they pretty much owned the city at this point.
Yeah, like unofficially, like they pretty much bribed and like led all the politicians and the police force and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And from the outside looking in, it looked like Umbrella was this very generous, like giving the city infrastructure and seeing to it that everything, like this thriving city was growing, and that they gave out jobs for people and stuff like that. So from the outside, it looked like a really great forward-thinking medicine company that did a lot of great medicines and pills and stuff like that. So if you've actually played the Resident Evil games, like the water that Ethan pours on his hand all the time to heal himself, that is something that Umbrella actually made. So all of like the first aid. I was thinking about Ethan's hand again.
Thinking about Ethan and his hand and non-hand. Yeah.
No, but so all like the first aid stuff is actually from Umbrella. So that is pretty much from the start of how they found the virus to where they are right now. They're future looking very bright for Umbrella. It's like they own everything. No one can stop them. No one is like on their trail of what they're doing.
And
no one's asking questions.
We're in the 90s, right?
Yes, so this is the early 1990s.
Yeah.
But so I feel like that's pretty much of the basics that we need to know before we go into any of the games, because this is this you kind of find out in the first game, so I guess that's a spoiler for that one. And it's gonna be a spoiler episode. But
all of this is gonna be spoilers about all of the games. That's a big warning right now. There will be content spoilers, muddies.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of spoilers. But also, I'm not really gonna go in and talk about any of the games in detail. So I will not ruin that for you guys.
Okay.
You can still go in and play the games and pretty much find a lot of new things.
Yeah.
Because as I said before, we're going to focus on Resident Evil 7 and 8, which we're going to talk about in the next episode.
Yeah.
So I will not go into anything that would not be needed to understand 7 or 8.
Okay.
So, do you have any questions about that?
No.
Is there anything you're wondering?
Feels Pretty clear, pretty solid.
It's pretty solid.
Pretty
Glad to hear it. So, I decided that we need to know more about one specific character. And this character is one of the main characters, and he is probably the character that shows up the most, and I think in all of the Resident Evil games. Pretty sure he shows up in all of them. Mm-hmm. In some kind of way. And that character is Chris Redfield.
Yeah.
So we need to know a little bit more about him.
Boy is everywhere.
Boy is everywhere. He always shows up at the right time.
Yeah.
And he, in 7 and 8, like not that much in 7, but especially in Resident Evil 8, he shows up quite a lot, and he has a big
role
in that game. So we need to know a little bit more about him.
For sure.
So Chris Redfield and his sister Claire Redfield actually lost their parents sometime before 1996. There isn't a specific date for when they lost their parents. They are just parentless.
Parentless.
No one knows when, but I know they're not talking about it that much. But we can pretty much guess it is still kind of fresh by 1996.
Okay.
So when Chris Redfield, when he became an adult, young adult, he joined the United States Air Force. There he received training in both planes, helicopters, and various weapons. He was known for his hand-to-hand combat and marksmanship talents. He's a talented dude.
Yeah.
Talented dude.
He's
really good. So he worked there for many years, and following his retirement from the Air Force, he was scouted in 1996 by the STARS Division, also known as Special Tactics and Rescue Service. STARS was founded in 1996, so the same year that Chris joined. And they were founded by the Raccoon City Police Department.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they are like a special force within the police department. And Chris quickly worked his way up in the ranks and soon he was appointed the unit's top marksman in the Alpha unit of STARS. So STARS have two prominent levels in it. So
divisions.
Divisions, thank you. So either you're in Alpha or you're in Bravo team. So
Bravo!
Bravo! So Alpha is like the top, the best of the best, and Bravo is like the
Good
rest.
job, you showed up.
Like you're good
Bravo.
enough to join STARS, but you're not quite the best.
The top, yeah.
Of the top, you know? But Chris was very talented, so he was of course in the Alpha unit. And he, together with his STARS colleagues, solved a number of difficult cases. He liked to act on his own authority and do as he pleased with the cases. He was very much like, don't you tell me what to do kind of guy. And even though he was like that, he was successful in everything he did. He didn't quite get along with most upper leaders of the police department, however, but the leader of the STARS division looked out for him because he saw his potential. Yeah. So he was like, cool it.
Yeah.
Let him do what he wants to do, you know? Yeah. He's successful, so like, what's the deal?
Yeah.
Pretty much. So that's pretty much Chris Redfield's way into the police department. He's very talented ways with weapons and stuff like that, since it feels like every time Chris Redfield joins in the games, he's there like, I have unlimited amount of ammo and I could kill people with the look.
He's the American action hero.
He is, and he is American too.
Yeah, so he's the American action hero.
Yeah. He do be like that.
He do be like that.
He do be like that. Um, so, I think it might be important for us to go through his first interaction with Umbrella and the virus. Yeah. Since it will... I will not say it will change him, but it will make him very... It will leave a very prominent mark on him. So Chris Redfield's first interaction with the Umbrella's virus was in the early spring of 1998. The Bravo team of stars, so the rest of stars, were sent out to investigate what the normal police could not. They had found a high number of cannibalistic deaths in the outskirts of Raccoon City.
Cute.
And they were determined to stop it.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit, they're out here. As they were flying out in a helicopter towards the outskirts, a storm happened. They crashed and they lost all radio contact. The Alpha team, including Chris, were sent out to find their lost comrades. After some search, they found the crashed vehicle along with its dead pilot. A sudden attack by rabid dogs forced the surprised Alpha team to surrender and run into a nearby mansion to hide. In this mansion, they found the rest of the surviving Bravo team members, but not only that. They found out that the mansion belonged to a certain Oswald E. Spencer.
Yes. So the Umbrella dude.
The main co-founder of Umbrella Corporation.
Yeah.
But they also found, as they delved deeper into the mansion, a laboratory hidden beneath. So, we're going to take a small pause there and talk a little bit about this mansion. Because Oswald E. Spencer decided and let have built this mansion in the outskirts, like very far off everything else, very hidden away. He let have this mansion built that is an exact replica of his childhood home where he grew up in. Like a nice information about that. And he also let it be built upon old limestone mines. Yeah. So that he could build a hidden laboratory. So this laboratory was pretty much the first, like his main laboratory where he did come up with the T virus.
Gotcha.
Down in the laboratory, Chris and his comrades found out about Umbrella's tests, illegal bioweapons, and the T virus. It was discovered that a strain of the virus escaped containment and had infected the staff that worked down there, turning them into zombies, which in turn were responsible for the cannibalistic deaths that had occurred.
Oh, shit.
The team fought through various T virus subjects and luckily escaped on a helicopter before the whole mansion and its content was blown to pieces.
That usually is how it ends.
Yeah. The Stars Division lost many that day, and it will leave a mark in Chris Redfield's for years to come. So that is also like a really funny thing, I guess. When you play through Resident Evil, you learn that all buildings have a self-destruct.
Apparently, yeah.
All buildings have that.
That is very much of what I've seen since I mean, we have established I haven't played any Resident Evil games myself, but I watched you play it, and it feels like they usually end with you running away or flying away on a helicopter and everything just blows up behind you.
Yeah, it's pretty much that.
Yeah.
So this is what happened there. And all the surviving members did everything in their power to report Umbrella and their findings to the authorities. But the bribed chief of police shut them all down and even resorted to shutting down STARS entirely.
STARS. Gotcha.
So STARS was a short-lived operation that started in 1996 and ended in 1998.
Yeah, that was really short-lived.
It was really, and as soon as they were like, hey, there's something wrong here, they're like, no, shut down.
Yeah.
But all of the STARS like members are occurring main characters in the Resident Evil universe. But we're not really gonna name all of them because that would be kind of confusing because they don't reoccur in 7 or 8.
Okay.
Except for Chris, of course.
Yeah.
all of this led Chris on an aggressive rampage, and it ended with him assaulting another officer.
Chill.
And for that, he was suspended.
Wait, so he went from STARS, but he went into the regular police force after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So none of them really lost their jobs. They kind of just got demoted into the regular, like, he was a detective and all of that stuff.
Okay, gotcha.
So he still worked within the police force, but he was, since he was a little bit like, you can tell me what to do.
Yeah.
He got really angry when they didn't listen to him.
Yeah.
And he hit a friend.
Oh my gosh.
And they were like, hey, you, calm the fuck down, and suspended him.
He got a real angry.
Chris Whitfield.
Real angry. Okay, sorry.
But this, like, Chris wasn't really... He was like, that works perfectly for me.
Yeah.
Because all of the STARS, STARS, like, members had just quite decided that they were gonna stop Umbrella. If not the authorities were gonna do it, they had
they
to
were gonna do
much.
it by themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they had kind of started following up on leads where Umbrella had their main laboratories and stuff like that, and they had gotten a lead from Europe. And once again, they don't say where.
Yeah.
They
Classic.
just say Europe.
I know. I commented on this when it came to... Well, during one of your streams, where I was like, it's always funny in American games. It's like, this is from Europe. It's not a specific country or anything. It's just Europe.
Yeah, I think 8 starts off that way. They're like, when Ethan tells everyone that they're like, oh, yeah,
we're in Europe.
Moved away to Europe.
Where?
But where in Europe?
I think you get some hints as to where, and
it's Romania.
I was just gonna say I think it's Romania because it's like with the vampires and Transylvania and stuff like that. But they don't ever mention that it's only Europe, and I don't think they in Resident Evil 4. I don't think they specifically say that you're in Spain either. They say that you're in Europe, but everyone speaks Spanish.
It's like they couldn't just say somewhere in Spain.
Yeah.
They were like, no, it sounds better if we say Europe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So stupid. Sorry, sidetrack, but it's kind of funny.
that's okay. I really wanted to sidetrack a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a reoccurring thing. Yeah. But anyway, Chris was like, hey, suspend me. That's fine. I'm just gonna go to Europe for a vacation. And I'm gonna bring my pals with me, and bye. And he went over to Europe pretty much. So that was in the spring of 1998, pretty much. So
it was quite shortly after STARS had been shut down. Yeah.
So STARS was shut down in like the beginning of the year, and then he went off. Everything happened very fast after that. He got suspended quite directly. But then after the summer, in the autumn of 1998, an infected strain of the T virus contaminated the water source of Raccoon City, which ended in a virus outbreak. The U.S. Army and National Guard formed a blockade outside of the city limits to prevent the spread from coming outside. When the conventional military solution proved ineffective, plans were put in motion to destroy the entire city. And the city was indeed destroyed at daybreak of October 1st, killing infected, uninfected civilians, along with soldiers who failed to escape. Roughly 100,000 people died that day.
That's so sad.
It's really sad, and it's just, it's a lot. Like, even though it didn't happen for real, when I was reading this, I was I was so into it, so I was like, oh shit, 100,000, and that's not even like, they just decided to choose that number, like Umbrella and the National Guard, because they didn't know how many people were in there, and they didn't want to go in there and find out. So they kind of just closed it off, bombed it, and it was like, okay, Raccoon, city has like
approximately
100,000 people. So I guess it's something like that died that day.
Oh my god.
The government kept covering up the existence of the T-virus and Umbrella's bioweapons to avoid getting involved with Umbrella's project. And all of this, with the bombing of Raccoon City and stuff, this led to the Raccoon Trials, which are also really fun. It sounds very fun.
So
but
stupid. Couldn't they have chosen a cooler name? I mean, I love the name Raccoon City, but I mean, it doesn't really vibe with the Resident Evil thing. You know, it's not like Gotham City and Batman or anything. It doesn't sound cool. It's like Raccoon City. What the fuck?
It was like, yeah, and then Raccoon Trials. Like, if I was just gonna name drop Raccoon, do you know about the Raccoon Trials? People would be like, what?
Could they have at least like shortened it, like RC Trials, you know, because Raccoon City, but it's the Raccoon Trials. I can just see like raccoons sitting up on the stand, like, this man murdered my family. Jeebus.
They have like a whole wiki page about the Raccoon Trials.
Wow.
So it's something. And these trials ended with Umbrella closing its doors, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense. What the fuck? What the... they were responsible for fucking blowing up a city of 100,000 people, and they just shut their doors? I mean, they should have been, like, imprisoned and shit.
Yeah. No. Everyone was like, okay, Umbrella, I'm not gonna shout at you.
Like, if y'all could just stop, that'd be great.
Could you just tone it down a notch?
Yeah.
But so these trials started in 1998 or 1999, not entirely sure, but it kept going and ended in 2003. So that's when Umbrella closed everything. Chris and his colleagues weren't really satisfied with this, however, since they had tracked numerous rogue Umbrella-hired researchers that kept viruses and sold them as bioweapons.
Oh, shoot.
So now they had like this...
That sounded so sorry. That sounded really weird. I was like, oh, shoot.
Oh, shoot. Gosh darn it.
Oh, gosh darn it.
Damn it.
Shoot.
Oh, shoot. The bioweapons. They got away with the virus again.
You're fucking Scooby-Doo. I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
Chris and his gang.
Yes. I love it here. Okay, sorry, continue.
But so yeah, with the Umbrella Corporation shutting down, there was a lot of researchers that decided to like, okay, I'm just gonna yoink this virus that can destroy mankind, and I'm gonna sell it to like terrorist groups and stuff like that.
Rude.
Sounds great. Sounds great, right?
Love that for you.
We love that, yeah. So the virus got sold and was in the hands of numerous terrorist organizations along with rival medical firms. And Chris, along with his longtime STARS partner, Jill, so I'm just going to mention that because she is like his best friend, helped create Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance.
Okay.
Or for short, the BSAA.
There you go.
The BSAA is dedicated to stopping the creation and usage of bioweapons and was originally started by the UN, though gained a lot of help from the former STARS division.
Mm-hmm.
Since the collapse of Umbrella Pharmaceuticals, there had been a rise in use of biological weaponry, and this was the world's way of combating it.
Oh,
the BSAA...
They need to chill.
Yeah, people were like, it's mine, no, it's mine. The BSAA, along with its growing numbers of members, secured and hunted a lot of different bioweapons, along with the terrorist organizations that used them. So, something kind of, not important, but it's like a fun fact about the BSAA, is the UN kind of started it in secret.
Yeah.
First off. And they hired Chris and all of the STARS members, but they didn't actually do anything. So they were just kind of like, okay, hey, England, could you like host these guys we're gonna call them BSAA, and they're gonna just be like a front, so it looks like we're doing something.
Oh.
So they had like their headquarters in somewhere in England, and they were just really like, UN was like, look, they're doing things. We're saving people. Because a lot of countries weren't actually interested in hiring the BSAA to come in and help them with the bioweapon problems.
So they could be like, hey, it's up to them to help with the problem, but like we can provide the resources. It's just so it's not our fault, it's their fault. Yeah. Oh, exactly. Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds like politics. Yeah, that sounds like politics these days for sure. Yeah.
Like Resident Evil is a lot of politics. Yeah. And terrorist organizations. Yeah. And different stuff like that, and it's very, very interesting to read about, but it's also a lot. It's so much.
It's kind of it's very dystopian in a way, where it's very real because of the world we're living in right now too, and I think it becomes like very dystopian and scary because it's like hits too close.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. That was kind of the feeling I got when I read this, and especially about like the Raccoon City, like the trials, the bombing of that city. Like I just sat for a long time and was thinking like, so, for example, in the US, since a lot of things in movies and stuff like that happens in the US, what if like this would happen and the US was like, just bomb it, bomb it. Yeah. They would. Like, that's not too far off. Yeah, that would probably be one of the options that they had. And would they cover that up the same way that the government in the Resident Evil franchise do, and just brush it under the carpet and be like, no, it just had to happen?
Oh, I'm sure they would.
We're just closing down umbrellas, but we're not going to do much more than that. Oh, yeah. And then with all the terrorist groups,
I mean, there would be riots in the streets.
Oh, yeah, obviously. Yeah. And then all of like the leaked viruses, people selling them on the black market and stuff like that. It's like, it's very real. Yeah. Which, it's very dystopian, like you said. So yeah, the BSAA, they are growing, and they are actually starting, after like a few years, they started to actually go out and do stuff properly. Which Chris was like, yay, finally.
But like on their own accord, or was it at the UN were actually like, oh, maybe you guys should do stuff?
Yeah, the UN was like, I think the BSAA got created in like 2003 or 4. Okay. And the UN was like secretly owning them at that point, but they came out officially as the owners in like 2007-ish, something like that. So it took a few years. But at that point they were like, okay, we actually have to do something here. Okay. So yeah, they started to travel out and hunt down former Umbrella people that still broke the law, sold viruses, and terrorist organizations. So this is kind of the premise of all the games up to Resident Evil 7.
Okay, that they're basically just hunting random Umbrella people and fighting your way through the zombies that they've created through their viruses.
Yeah, gotcha. Pretty much. And they find out more and more about what actually happened in the Umbrella laboratories, what kind of viruses exist. As they do this. Yeah. And for example, Leon doesn't really have a place in Resident Evil 7 or 8, but since we have already mentioned him, he is a big part of the games as well.
We have? When did we mention Leon?
Didn't we mention Leon?
No, I don't think we've introduced Leon.
Okay, I'm gonna mention Leon. Yeah. Leon S. Kennedy.
We haven't mentioned Leon
Maybe we did it. Maybe it was all in my head. Because, Leon is a big part of the first and second game. As well as 4. And he is not a part of the BSAA, but he works closely with them since he's friends with Chris and all of the members there.
He's a police officer, right?
He's a police officer, but he also becomes, I think in 3, he becomes a special agent, would be the easiest way of explaining it.
Okay, yeah, because in the 4th, I think you mentioned that he's an ex-police officer or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, because in 2 that we played through on my stream, he is becoming a official police officer. Oh, okay. I think. That's why he travels to Raccoon City, because he's gonna work there.
Okay.
But in 4, he is officially a special agent.
Okay.
Working for the US. So we're gonna skip forward a few years from the creation of BSAA. So we're gonna hop over to 2017. In 2017, the now called Blue Umbrella asked the BSAA for help at a certain Umbrella Baker residence in Louisiana. We're gonna talk about that too. Okay. We're gonna talk about that now.
Yeah, sorry.
Because when I was reading this, and I also I watched the long videos explaining everything. Yeah. Blue Umbrella pretty much just jumps out and exists.
Oh, okay. You're saying blue as the color, right?
Yes.
Okay. Blue umbrella. Okay.
And so I was like, wait, where do they come from?
Yeah.
Because in who the fuck? Because they have showed themselves a little bit in the other games, but not as prominent as they do in Resident Evil 7.
Okay.
So the Blue Umbrella is a reformed version of Umbrella Pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
It was founded in 2007. It is, as its name suggests, a blue and white symbol instead of red and white.
Red and white, yeah.
Following the rise of bioweapons and terrorist organizations, Blue Umbrella rises from the dust of its predecessor. And it was very important that the color was now blue and that the people saw this. Mm-hmm. It was very important for them to be like, okay, the outside we have changed.
Yeah.
Kind of way. Blue Umbrella was here to clean up the mess that they had originally started.
Why not just choose an entirely new name?
I don't know.
Why even want to be associated with the Umbrella if they wanted to show that they were new? Usually choose a new name.
Yeah. That would be the best PR way of doing it.
Yeah, it's like being Ted Bundy. You're like, I don't want to be associated to Ted Bundy, so I'm now Ned Bundy. That doesn't make any sense.
Bitch.
Yeah. That was a weird choice, but I don't know why I chose that. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
We're Blue Umbrella, not regular Umbrella.
They're both pretty bad.
Yeah.
They were both pretty bad. But so Blue Umbrella was actually created by the people that kind of worked at Umbrella from the start. So they felt guilty. And they were like, hey.
No. Aw. Nub.
And they felt guilty and they were like, okay, if we just create the umbrella sign again, but bear with me here, we make it blue.
I love how you threw your hands up in there too, we make it blue. It's
bear with me here, we make it blue.
Blue. Because blue is a nice color and red is a bad color.
Exactly.
It's all about branding, really. It's about advertising, and you don't need to change as a company to change a color. I don't understand.
It's really I was kind of smiling through reading Blue Umbrella's whole thing, because it was Blue Umbrella. Couldn't they just name it something else?
Who takes care of their PR? Who approved that? They were yeah, we're thinking Blue Umbrella. That's such a good idea. Oh my gosh.
Do you think they have a PR team at this point?
I mean, they must, right? I mean, they're a big multi-million corporation, and they need to do something to keep their standard and stuff. I mean, if they were a revered company, seen as being this amazing fucking thing in Raccoon City before it fucking blew up, they must have had a good PR team saying all these things and making sure that people were like, oh my God, I'm sucking your dick, you're such a good company, instead of, seeing through it. They had to have an amazing PR team. Where did this PR team go? Did they, move to Europe too? I don't understand.
They moved to Europe. Impossible
Blue
to
umbrella.
find because you don't know where in Europe they are.
Yeah, listen, I can't move past
on their passport it just says Europe.
Yeah, I can't move past this whole blue umbrella thing. It's gonna bother the shit out of me. But please continue. But that's just, I'm not gonna get past that ever.
I do believe that their PR team went like, fuck no, that's a stupid idea, why would you do that? And they just left, and the researcher were like, let's name it blue umbrella, we're guilty.
The researchers said they were like, but blue though, so fuck you guys.
Bear with me.
Blue.
Let's make it blue.
Yeah.
But anyway, they exist.
So stupid. Yeah.
It is stupid. But they exist. Okay, we know what they are kind of much. And they were... where was I?
Sorry.
There we go. They began studying effective means of tackling bioweapons on a pretty much the same way. So, they were tackling bioweapons. But they were not allowed to start up the original Umbrella Security Service. They had their own little special force. So obviously they weren't allowed to start that one up again, because how did that go last? They should not have power that way.
Yeah.
And so combat duties were to be handed to internationally recognized anti-bioweapon groups, such as our familiar BSAA. The Blue Umbrella had effective guns and other weapons to take out bioweapons and to kill off variations of the viruses quickly, and gladly handed this over to the BSAA members. So they were kind of like just lab people making effective guns and ammunition that would
to
be
help
more effective.
BSAA to fight what the original company had created, pretty much.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So they were creating stuff to destroy what they had created.
Gotcha.
Which is, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good, even though Blue Umbrella, good.
I mean, what the fuck? Like, could you, if you wanted to keep the symbol, sorry, I'm gonna gloss it.
No, keep going.
If you wanted to keep the symbol, if that's the reasoning, you're like, we want to keep the the symbol, like the branding symbol, because it's shaped as an umbrella. Couldn't they have named it like parasol or something? Is that what it's called? Like fucking or parachute
you should be
or something.
their PRT.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you don't have to have umbrella in the name. I'm so pissed at their
blue
PR
umbrella
team.
Though.
Blue
but
umbrella.
It's blue.
Jeebus.
But it's blue.
It's blue.
They
could have just named it like nice umbrella then. Sorry.
Nice umbrella.
Yeah, it's basically the same, like, we're
good
nice umbrella. Good umbrella. And the previous one, they were the bad ones, but they didn't specifically mention that, so we're just gonna name ourselves nice umbrella.
We're cleaning up kind of umbrella.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna let it go officially now, but
we can talk about it more afterwards.
Yeah, unofficially, I'm never letting this go.
I think it's official. You're not letting this go.
No.
So anyway, even though Blue Umbrella had a clean record on their new name, many still distrusted them, especially Chris Redfield.
Oh wow, I wonder why.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
Nonetheless, they continued to provide important data and weapons to the BSAA.
Yeah.
So they kind of were, Chris was leading a lot of the, like he was pretty much a leader of the BSAA, but not the official leader.
Yeah.
And he didn't like it. He was much like you, I guess. He was like, Blue Umbrella, what the
fuck? Who's your PR team?
Pew! Fuck off. But they were kind of like a little bit forced to take their help because it was good help and they needed it.
Good help.
So anyway, let's go back to the distress call that the Blue Umbrella sent to the BSAA about the residents in Louisiana. the BSAA answered, and as a response, they sent Agent Chris Redfield with a team directly to Dulvey Parish, Louisiana. There, they arrived just in time to assist a certain Ethan Winters in defeating a human-based bioweapon. They saved Ethan along with his wife Mia and boarded a helicopter that took them to safety.
Mm-hmm.
You recognize this?
Just in time? I don't know if I want to call that just in time, knowing what Ethan went through before getting to that point, but sure. Just in time, quote unquote. That looks better on the record, saying that they arrived just in time and not like basically too late, but just before they died, but whatever.
So that kind of made, because I was thinking that too. I was like, why didn't they, how come Ethan, the most normal person in the Resident Evil universe, how come he figured all of this out and found this and not like the BSAA or the Blue Umbrella that did the distress call?
They arrived like several days later, and Ethan had lost all his limbs by then. Like, fucking hell.
Scarred for life. Lost his wife like twice, he thought.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was a ride for sure.
Yeah, it was a ride.
Such a good game though, man.
It's so good. But anyway, they arrived just in time.
Yeah.
And they saved Ethan and Mia.
Quote unquote.
Chris and the BSAA and Blue Umbrella was like, hell yeah, nice. Sweet.
Sweet. Cute.
They just called each other and were like, yeah, sweet.
Cute.
Sick, bruh. Sick. So, when the two were out of harm's way, Chris returned to the scene. He went down into the mines to search for a certain survivor of the residents, who was said to be indirectly responsible for the incident in Louisiana. He, Lucas Baker, was said to be the head researcher of a group called The Connections. Mm-hmm. This was a part of the DLC of Resident Evil 7. We've also played through this when you play as Chris Redfield down in the salt mines below the Baker residence in Louisiana.
I don't remember this. I only remember when we played blackjack.
That was a ride for sure. Most memorable, I would say.
Yeah.
But you do remember Lucas Baker.
He's the son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's office rockers for sure.
He is. And what surprised me, or not surprised, I know we read something in the DLC because in this DLC we kill Lucas Baker in the end. And you get to read through like his laptop and stuff like that, and you read a little bit about him knowing about what was going on before it really was going on. But I didn't really make any, forgive the pun, any connections that he was involved in a group called The Connections. But he is the head researcher of this group that I had never heard about before.
I'm sorry. Lucas Baker was a researcher?
Mm-hmm.
He looked like a fucking meth addict, though.
Yeah.
But I don't understand.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that whole family.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about those two. But for now, just know that he is the head researcher.
Interesting.
So The Connections was founded by the chief researcher of the Umbrella Africa Research Center, which was active during the Red Umbrella rule. I felt like I needed to say that now it's red. It was red once.
Okay, yeah.
So
it was called Umbrella, but let's call it the Red Umbrella just to be safe. Yeah.
Exactly. And we started off this episode with talking about that they found the virus in Africa.
Yeah.
So this research center is placed above this cave that they found, this flower and the virus.
Okay.
So this chief researcher is the chief researcher of that place. They kind of left him behind and were like, you keep lookout on this place. We need to have eyes on this. Oh, we travel back and start Umbrella and start all of that. Raccoon City and stuff, you know? So when Umbrella was shut down, so was the research center.
Okay.
All of the centers of Umbrella was shut down at the same time. During the time the center was active, the chief researcher created the group The Connections. They were a crime syndicate that was involved in biochemical research, money laundering, murder, trafficking of weapons and drugs.
Cute.
So they were bad.
Mm.
They were kind of bad.
Yeah.
And the Connections did their own research about different viruses, since they also wanted bioweapons like that, you know.
Cute.
You know, cute. And after many failures and tries, they developed the E-type virus, which is kind of funny.
Gotcha.
Because the E-type was
Boy band
developed
virus. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
The E-type was developed to look like an innocent child and was designed to eliminate enemies without the need for combat. The child will take over people's minds and go from there. The first E-type project was created had a name.
Mm.
And she was called
Evelyn.
We're gonna stop there for today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, girl.
We're gonna stop there. We're gonna stop there. Because otherwise I need you know.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So I wrote to you last night and was like, I found out something that I did not know.
Yeah.
The connection is something that I did not know.
Yeah.
And when I read through everything that has to do with the Connections, that they created Evelyn, and also what they, oh my god, yeah. We're gonna,
I don't know what, just to clarify, the Connections are kind of like a new subgroup of old or Red Umbrella. So they were started from the research center that was in Africa, and became like their own separate group, and they mutated the other, what was it called?
T-virus.
The T-virus. They mutated that further a little bit and turned it into the E-virus in the form of a child, which is known as Evelyn.
Evelyn.
Yes. All right.
Correct.
Yeah. If you guys haven't played the games, that name may not sound familiar to you, but I'm sure we'll delve into that next episode. But for those of you who know Evelyn, I'm sure you're feeling like me and you're on the edge of your seat right now.
Yeah, it was. For some reason, I thought that Evelyn was a creation of Umbrella.
Yeah, I mean, indirectly it kind of is, but I never heard about Connections, or is that what they were called? Connections?
The Connections,
Connections. Never heard about those before, like it became like a subgroup. That's kind of interesting.
I'm sitting here wondering if I should tell you one more thing, because it was that thing, one of the things that really made me go, huh?
Really milk that cliffhanger, Beb. Do it.
Okay, so I'm just gonna we're gonna talk about that definitely during the next episode. And I do hope that this wasn't too confusing and all over the place. I really tried to scrunch everything down, so we only know what we need to know to understand 7 and 8 a little bit better.
But I felt like it made sense. I was keeping up quite well, and like I haven't played all the games. I've seen you play 3 games, correct? Yeah. And I've started watching because my husband is actually streaming these days. So a little bit of a shout out maybe, twitch.tv/gripos, GRIPOZ. Just a little shout out, and he's currently playing through Resident Evil 4, which is very interesting to watch.
It is very interesting, very action based.
So I've seen a little bit of the games, and I feel like I kept up and it made sense. but I definitely learned some new things. But I didn't feel confused or anything. So it was very,
Yeah.
very well put. I think, and very, very
Good.
very easy to follow, considering all the information.
It's a lot of organizations, really, that is actually quite... If you want to understand the lore of 7 and 8, you kind of need to have the backstory of all of these.
Yeah.
So when we're going to talk about in the next episode, I will try and make like short descriptions of the organizations when they are mentioned, and I will try to remind you of what it is and where we found it out, like because first time.
I think the first Resident Evil game you played on stream was Resident Evil 7, right?
It was.
So I felt like, never having experienced any Resident Evil before, I was like, who the fuck are Umbrella? Like, who the fuck are all these people? I don't really understand, but I still really enjoy the game. So I feel like all this backstory is very, very welcomed for me, because now I'm like, oh, and like all the backstory I understand, and I understand how Chris fits into this whole equation and why he's working against Umbrella so intensely and like all of that stuff. So it definitely makes sense, and I appreciate that information for sure.
Yeah. And I also now kind of realized when I remembered the ending of the last DLC for Resident Evil 7, when you play as Joe Baker, Jack Baker's brother, aka Zoe's uncle, he tries to save Zoe and defeats Jack one last time. There is a lot of tents all over the residence that has a blue umbrella symbol.
Oh.
Actually. So they actually went over there and were like, hi, we were sending Chris here.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I just remember that because I think in the stream I even said, like, why is it blue? It's supposed to be red. Like, what does this mean?
Oh.
But now I get it. I get it now.
That's funny that you just realized that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It is really interesting. And
I
quite didn't understand that, or didn't know that Umbrella actually shut its official doors that early on. Because like I know the movies and the games don't quite follow up at all in the storyline, but the first movie and the first movie and like the second game are quite similar in the fall of Raccoon City, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
So you kind of get to live through the chaos of the sudden outbreak and stuff like that.
I gotcha. Interesting.
It is interesting. And also another thing I found out is, because all of this information is based on the games, but also 3 CG movies that exist, like short movies, as well as 2 plays.
Like
and
theater?
1 musical.
What?
There's a musical.
Wait, I did not know that. What? There's a Resident Evil musical?
Yes, in Japan they have this.
Oh, of course it's Japan.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. If you want to watch it, I bet it's actually it's very lore filled. Like, it's extremely packed, because they can't have the action in the same way that Resident Evil has. So they are more like just dialogues and plot twists and stuff. It's very dramatic.
Really interesting.
It is. And also that one of them is a musical is
fascinating.
Interesting.
Fascinating. I love that so much.
So when I was looking through the long video, I was like sitting there, and suddenly real people appeared, and I was like, what is this? Is this like a real action movie? And I was like, no, that looks so bad. I was like, oh, it's a play. They're singing.
That's insane. I love that. I love that.
It kind of shows how big Resident Evil is in Japan, like where it was created from the start.
I really,
which is
I didn't even know that Resident Evil Japanese?
Yeah, it's created by a company called Capcom.
Oh, I did not know that.
They are.
Interesting. It is cool.
But they make everything happen in the US and Europe.
And Europe.
No, a lot happens in Japan and stuff like that also, but mostly it's focused on Europe and US, which is interesting.
Well, there you go. I can't wait for next week's episode. I'm really excited to hear the rest of it. I'm gonna get to hear about it in I don't know, half a week approximately, but you guys are gonna get to hear about it in a week, so stay tuned for that. A little bit of a cliffhanger, and it's gonna be interesting to do this setup for once where we do a 2-parter in this way. So
interesting.
I hope you guys are going to enjoy that. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, you can find all of our links all over the fucking place about me, wherever the fuck, like about section, or we have links all over the place. If you guys want to join the Discord, you can go over there to suggest some new episodes. If you guys have anything you're wondering or thinking about or whatever the fuck, you can comment down below if you have any questions, or if you want to join the conversation. As always, you can find us on Instagram, and on SoundCloud, and on YouTube, and on Spotify. Love that for us. Fuck hell yeah. Fuck hell yeah.
And I'm gonna fuck hell yeah. Fuck hell yeah. And we're also gonna upload a lot of descriptions of like pictures of Chris Redfield and other Resident Evil important things to our Instagram. If you're interested in what it kind of looks like, the symbol, the viruses and stuff like that, we're gonna make so you can see a little bit more about that and kind of create a visual.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Love that. Well, I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening, and I can't wait to hear the rest of it. And until then, stay safe, stay good, and take care of each other. And
take care.
See you then.
Love yous. Bye.
Bye.